Oh, hey, everybody. It's Carter here again in beautiful Vancouver, Canada, working on the RZ 500, total engine rebuild, and we've moved on to the crankshafts. As you can see, I have this crankshaft set up in the vise. I have it protected with a couple of nice pieces of cloth. I haven't tightened it down severely. You don't need to. When you are tightening your crank down into a vise, always be checking your connecting rods to make sure that they are free and they're not being pinched in anything or being bent. That's the only thing you have to worry about, aside from, protecting the crankshaft with a couple of pieces of cloth or leather or aluminum soft jaws. So anyways, we are here because we are taking out the bearings and replacing them with the new ones. I asked my lovely wife Dawn if she'd like to join us for this video and give a hand. She says she would rather have her eyes propped open and be forced to watch network news for 24 hours. So that's a hard no from Dawn. So it's just us today. I'm going to show you how I go about getting these crank bearings off. We're going to remove all 4 outer bearings from both crankshafts, and then we're going to give them a nice cleaning, and then install our new bearings on, and we'll get ready to install them into the crankcase. As you can see, I've labeled the drive gears for upper crank and lower crank, because although we are going to be changing this drive gear from the lower crank to the upper crank, and this flywheel from the upper crank to the lower crank, these drive gears have to go back on the crankshaft that they came off of. So, to take these bearings off, my favorite tool is a tire iron. It has the perfect curvature. They're nice and thin near the top. They're nice and thin on this end if you do have to tap in from the side. This crankshaft has a hollow conrod pin. So it's perfect you can just fit right underneath there. So I just take a propane torch, apply a little bit of heat to that inner race, you don't have to get it smoking hot. Just warm it up. And then take your tire iron and get it behind that bearing and just give it a couple of wiggles. And by doing that, you've moved it away enough to get this tire iron in. Almost. And off she comes. All right, we'll come back in a little while and I'll show you how I put the new ones on. We're going to get these bearings off of here, clean these cranks up beautifully, and then reinstall some new bearings. Hey everybody, we are back with more on the bearing install on the crankshafts for the RZ 500. Now what I do to clean these is I'll take a container like this and I will fill it up with a premix of gasoline and 2-stroke oil, and then I'll place the crank in there, and then I'll place the whole container in the fluid that is in my sonic cleaner. Leave them in there and I rotate them around until they're clean, and and then I remove them. And when you do, a lot of you may know these roller bearings, after you clean them, you can really tell what they're all about. And they feel different. They make some noise. Here's a perfect example. This is a bearing that came off the one crank, and it has been cleaned and dried. Here is the bearing off of the other crank that I've done nothing with. It's just, it still has that film of oil in it from being in the motor. Quiet as a church mouse. So that's the difference after you clean. So as a result, I'm going to do these center bearings. Unfortunately, I don't have a 10-ton press. I don't have a press tube or the press plates required to do it. So I'm gonna send it off to my buddy, and he's gonna do the crankshafts for me, at least the rebuilding of the center. And then when we get them back, we'll continue on with the build. Until then, have a great one. Bye.
Say sweet things to me. With you.